Nature's wealth, good for your health. This is the Raw Life Health Show.
Hello, everybody. This is Paul with the Raw Life Health Show. I'm so excited about my guest today. My guest is Austin. Say hello, Austin, to the Raw Life audience.
Hello, everyone.
Austin is a very interesting person, or the lifestyle he's choosing for himself. And the reason I wanted to have him on the show is because number one, he's eating a raw food diet, and number two, he's has something really amazing to talk about. So, Austin, how long have you been eating a vegan diet? Let's say.
It's been about 5 years and 2 months. I was only vegan for 2 months before I went into raw foods.
And so, what made you go? Were you How were you doing before that? Were you an unhealthy teenager? What was your lifestyle before you changed your diet?
Right. Yeah, I actually 7 years ago, I was at my heaviest weight. I was obese and 230 pounds. Um, so I've lost over 100 pounds during the time, but I was I was a stoner. I was eating all the typical stoner foods. Like I would make pizzas with mounds of meat and cheese and hot sauce and just all the processed boxed food, macaroni and cheese, and um, all the standard American fast food. I worked at a fast food establishment for about a year, and that just made my obesity worse and my food addictions. And yeah, so that was pretty much my background.
So, as a teenager, you were 230 pounds
Right.
and eating the standard American diet. And now, even though you obviously looked overweight and you were overweight, did you feel sick, or did you feel, hey, I'm a teenager, and did you feel okay?
Well, the thing is I had severe asthma. So I couldn't do any type of exercise without getting like severely winded, and I had to take albuterol and um, all these things. So I think the asthma was the greatest hindrance. I didn't have any particular um, disease, I guess, at the like that I knew of. I might have had some digestive uh, disorder or something, but it was mostly the asthma.
Now, people in your family, are they normally obese, or were you? So normally
Yeah,
they are.
it,
Okay.
it runs in my family for sure, and diabetes as well.
Okay. So at what age did you wake up and decide to change, and what made you decide to change?
Yeah, it was about around 18. This was a time where I was experimenting a lot with like psychedelic drugs, mushrooms, LSD, and it was actually um, through these experiences I had with these drugs that it kind of it like put a mirror up to myself, kind of like into my own psyche and like what's going on inside my body. And my whole life I kind of ran from what's going on. I was I would numb myself with food, or I would smoke weed or whatever. And um so it just kind of showed me, like, it's like, Austin, what are you doing to yourself? Like, so after experimenting with these for some time, I realized, like, I got to start taking this seriously. Like, I only have one life. And I stopped after one of these trips. I stopped talking to some of my friends. I quit smoking weed, and just like right away, I started researching about um, healthy foods. And that's when I saw this documentary called Food Inc., um, which was really eye opening to me on what's going on in the industry. And I went vegetarian as a New Year's resolution. Then it just kind of snowballed. Like a month, I just kept researching, and a month later, I went vegan because I saw this video called "Dairy is Scary" on YouTube, which is like, I never want to eat dairy again. And yeah, it just kind of snowballed into something. And then, the more I was researching, I found Dan McDonald on YouTube, and I found John Rose, and I think Ted Carr. Those were like the first people I found, and that one of them was talking about a 7-day like fruit challenge or something. I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. So I did like I did 7 days on only fruits. I ate like as much as I wanted, any type of fruits, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. Like I never felt the energy, the clarity, like ever in my life with anything else. And I was like, okay, this is crazy. I gotta like find other people that are doing this. And I find people that are like ultra marathon runners, and like just have this glowing skin, and they're like 60 years old and they look like they're 40 or something. And I'm like, I kept going after the 7 days. I literally never looked back, and I was raw like since then.
So what, like, how soon did you start to see the results and feel the results?
I would say after, I mean, like that first week was life changing. My energy just skyrocketed, but the weight started falling off after like a few months. Like it fell off so fast. I did a 30-day juice fast, like after like just my second month raw, and that's really when stuff started falling off. I just kind of made juices with any combination, like fruits and vegetables. And I know a lot of people go more on the fruit side, but I was just doing anything I had and making these crazy combinations, and it was incredible. So,
Wow. And at the time, were you telling everybody about this, or were you doing this yourself as your own experiment and just keeping it from everyone?
this was actually the time I first started on YouTube. um, you can check back. I don't know if it was the first year. I don't know if I made YouTube videos right away when I went raw, but maybe like after like a few months of raw, I started making YouTube videos and documenting my juice fasts. I did juice fasts on citrus and grapes and watermelon, and yeah, I started making these YouTube videos, and it also helped me come out of my shell because before this, I was super introverted. Like I had terrible social skills. I could barely like you and me. I'd be I'd be super shy and like couldn't even talk. And so YouTube, along with the raw food diet, helped me come out of my shell a bit. And I wasn't really talking to people about the raw food diet. I was just kind of, yeah, like you said, like experimenting on myself.
And how long after did you quit your job at the fast food restaurant after you started realizing how bad that stuff was?
Um, it took a few months, but yeah, I definitely like I became more sensitive to the things
Sure.
there. Like even like when I was washing dishes, I would get um like hives on my hand or something because these like chemicals, and I would just become so sensitive. I would just like smell grease, and I'd come home and I'd just be like covered in grease. I'm like, what? Why did I notice this before? And so yeah, it didn't take long. I was out of there, and I actually found a job at a health food store, and I was working there. It was like 100% organic. They had a deli and a juice bar, and I would make sandwiches for people, and it was really cool because there was like a lot of vegan, a nice vegan community that came in there, and I would make them these massive sandwiches, with like 12 different ingredients on it, and they would just stack so high, and it's so satisfying seeing people's like reaction. It's great.
Wow. Well, all this is amazing. And, there's a good amount of people that have lost a good amount of weight, just changing their diet and lifestyle in general. But you didn't stop there. You didn't just stay eating healthy and you took it to another level. But so w- what, what were you doing? So you were working in this health food store, you were getting better. And up to that point, did you ever travel?
Um, I did a few trips from with my mom. We went to like Aruba, Hawaii, California, and like I said, I was from Washington State, so we traveled around the Pacific Northwest a bit, the like Oregon and some of the islands there, like Bainbridge Island, and we went to Canada one time. But other than that, not much traveling.
Okay, so for those of you that don't know this, Austin right now is in Southeast Asia, and he actually lives there. So, what? Tell us this process. So, did you just one day say I'm leaving the country, or did it slowly like graduate to that?
Yeah. Well, even though I really liked this job at the health food store, there was certain management things, and it was getting to the point where the people they were hiring just like did not care about their job, and I kept picking up after them and like kind of compensating for all the bad the, the lower employment. But I don't want to talk bad about it, but it just got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm getting kind of fed up, and I want to get out of here. And I lived a pretty minimalistic lifestyle, so I saved quite a bit of money, even though I was making like minimum wage. And so at the time I was watching Fit Shorty Eats on YouTube, and they were traveling around Bali and Borneo and Thailand, like uh, they call themselves like rare fruit hunters, and they were eating all these exotic fruits and durian, which was like one of my favorite fruits, even though I've only had like the frozen at this time, the frozen durian. And they they really inspired me to like get up and go. And I'm like, wow, I really want to go to Bali. Bali looks amazing. And obviously, like being a fruitarian, we want to have the highest quality fruits. And in Washington in particular, it's raining most of the year. It's not like a ideal place to be fruitarian. So I literally I just had enough at some point, and I was like, okay, I got to put in my 2 weeks notice. I actually gave them like a month's notice to be nice. But I was like, I got to get out of here, you guys. And they're like, oh yeah, I understand. And I'm like, oh, I want to travel. I want to go to Bali and Asia. And they're like, but what are you gonna do for work? And I was like, I wasn't worried about it at the time. I'm like, it just doesn't matter. Like I have savings. Like something will happen. I'm like, this is what I want to do. Like you don't understand. It's like, I don't know. I just had this drive, and I was like, this is when I was like quitting drugs, and I was becoming sober, and I was getting more clear and more focused. And I realized like I could manifest these things into my life easier because I had so much focus like from the raw foods. And I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna quit. I'm just gonna quit. And I quit my job, and literally like a week later I booked a one-way ticket to Bali.
Wow.
And then I just kind of traveled around Asia for 2 years. I went to Thailand, Malaysia, Philippines, India, and now here in Vietnam, where I've found is like the best balance for me in terms of living.
Sure, sure. And of all the places you've been, which one was your favorite and which one was your worst?
Yeah, I'd say Vietnam's my favorite in terms of like balance with fruits, vegetables, and like comfort in like accommodation. And I live by the beach, and it's a nice small town, and I have my apartment. But in terms of like fruit quality, I'd say Borneo is the best, like the mecca for fruitarians, because they have all these wild jungle fruits. The only thing there is the fruit season is very short, so it's only like 4 or 5 months. But the rest of the year, you don't want to go there when it's not fruit season. It's not going to be fun. Um,
Yeah.
but in terms of the worst place, I really don't want to throw shade. Like I really wanted to like India, but oh my gosh, I went through so many massive cities where, you know, everybody's just bumping shoulders with each other. It's so crowded, it's so polluted, it's a lot of places are very dirty. I had a good time in southern India, which is like I was in Goa, which is more, you know, it's a more beach vibe, and the fruit quality is better there. Um, but yeah, I didn't like, just because of the pollution and the dirtiness, and the people are amazing. You know, I don't want to throw any shade, but yeah, that was my least
Sure.
favorite
Sure.
location.
And you mentioned earlier that you have a minimalist mindset, so that helped you get out there. And I remember when I was working on Wall Street with people making millions of dollars, I certainly wasn't, but people were. And then when I quit my job and did exactly what you did, I started traveling the world. And
Oh
I
yeah,
went to Malaysia and I went to Singapore, which as being from New York City, Singapore was like my favorite because it's like a clean New York City that never gets cold. I just loved it.
yeah,
And when I would call my friends up in New York and tell them, hey, I'm traveling and I'm doing this, often their comment was, I wish I could do that. And I would say,
right.
well, quit your job and do that. And they
You
looked at
can.
me like I was absolutely out of my mind.
Yep.
And so one of the reasons why I want this video is I want people to know that it's not unrealistic to do this. You're doing it, man, and you're doing it successfully. And now with YouTube, it's even easier because there's so many references and experiences people are having.
Yeah.
But you are eating a raw food diet. And one of my concerns before I would travel was how can I travel? Like, where am I going to get food and stuff? But then I realized
Yeah.
it's pretty easy wherever you go. And if it's not, you could fast. And, you know, you realize these things later. But for people that are new to this and want to do this, and want to do it from either a vegan or a raw food standpoint, you wrote a book for people with suggestions and tips on how to do this, not just how to survive on small amounts of money, but also how to eat the best food and just enjoy
Yeah.
life. So tell us about that book.
Sure. Yeah. So it's pretty much like a fruitarian survival guide for Southeast Asia and traveling Southeast Asia on a budget. And in this book, I talk about how I traveled for the fruit seasons. So it tells you about where the fruit season is in each country. So you can go, you don't want to go there. Like I was in certain countries when it was not fruit season, and it's just not a fun time as a fruitarian. Like you can have like bananas, papayas, you know, but you're not going to get much variety. So you want to make sure that you go there when it's the right season, and then you can get durian and, you know, all the best fruits. But yeah, so in the book I talk about how you can find accommodation for cheap or even for free. There are certain applications like couch surfing, which couch surfing, I want to say, absolutely changed my life. It's a free service, and you can stay with a host, and they, you know, they either have an extra room that they just want to rent out, be a nice person, or they, you know, they just want someone to spend time with. Maybe they're lonely, and it's really a great experience because the locals can show you what life is like where they live, and so you get a very different experience than you would if you know, just stayed up in a hotel somewhere. And you know, you save a lot of money. Sometimes they'll uh, I've been in situations where they've offered me, you know, fruit like every day for free. I've stayed with people on a durian farm actually in Thailand, and I got to eat as much durian and like mangosteen as I want, like every day. It's really, really cool experiences. And so yeah, couch surfing is amazing. But also how to find transportation. There's different transportation options, of course, and like which ones are, you know, taxis are not always the best. There's a lot of public transportation throughout Asia, so it's actually quite easy to navigate, especially in places like Malaysia, and you can save a lot of money using that. Also, how to avoid certain scams, like travel scams are very prevalent, I'd say, throughout Asia, especially in areas like Thailand, Malaysia, and India. I think those are the most scammy, I guess. So yeah, I talk about how to avoid scams, accommodation, how to negotiate with buying produce, buying fruits, vegetables, and yeah, how to get the best deals. Also, just like how to travel from place to place, because people will get like often stuck in a place and they're like, oh, I don't know where to go. And so I give out some different options for that as well.
Sure. And so when it does come to work, or you telling us how to save money, but what about making money, and
Hmm.
how does that? What do people can they expect, or if they want to do something like you're doing?
Sure. Oh yeah, and I wanted to say that I did all of this for 2 years. On average, I spent $300 a month um, for that's travel, accommodation, and food. That's not including flights. Even though in Asia you can fly places which are fairly cheap, like usually less than $100 to go to a different country because
Wow.
they're close by. Um, I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question?
Well, about work. So if that's
Oh,
amazing.
right,
You
right.
said for 2 years, so you spend about $3,500 per year for 2 years. That's really amazing. And you didn't do it like you were struggling. You were enjoying your life and enjoying everything, right?
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. So for work, there are some options. You can, of course, people who have an online business, it could be quite easy, and they could travel perpetually. But there are some options. I live here in Vietnam now, and there are a lot of English teaching jobs. You don't have to have any bachelor's degree or anything. This is in Vietnam. Vietnam's one of the only countries I know of that doesn't require um, bachelor's degree. And pretty much if you're a native English speaker, so if you're from the UK or America or some of the other countries, you can teach here. And a TEFL certificate will help you, which you can get for like $100-$200 online pretty easily. But yeah, that's one option is teaching in
Well, in
Vietnam.
jobs, whether it's a teaching job or something else. I mean, realistically, are we talking minimum wage jobs, or are we talking that you can make good money?
Here in Vietnam, I make about like $15 an hour. Uh, so yeah, I'd say it's pretty good. Even compared to the teaching in America, it's pretty
Yeah,
pretty reasonable. I actually only work like 15 hours a week, and that gives me enough to pay my rent and food and a little bit of savings as well.
that's because it's so cheap out there. What's your rent?
My rent's around $200 a month, and I have a balcony, I have a kitchen. It's a nice place.
So you have a studio in a safe area for $200 a month.
Yeah, very safe here as well.
Wow, wow, wow. In all your travels, have you ever felt unsafe?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were going to say no, never. And then you're like, absolutely. So
Yeah.
yeah, okay, wow. So that's
Yes. So when I was doing this, I was pretty extreme with the budget, and I would stay in places that are like, these hostels, which are like $2 a night or something, and these are not the safest places in the world. There's not a locker for your things. You just kind of put things under your bed and hope someone doesn't steal it. And I definitely had in India, someone stole like, I think it was like $150 from my wallet. Um, and I didn't notice it at first. And I was just very careless, making a lot of mistakes while I traveled. So that's why I made the book, is because I don't want people to make the same mistakes I did. And
sure.
uh, so yeah, it's definitely felt unsafe at times. Yeah.
And so what's your plan? Like, I know we don't real know the long distance future, but are you Like, do you have to come back, like visa wise, or are you planning on not, or like, what's your plan?
Hmm. So the visa situation here, they've changed it a little bit since the pandemic thing or whatever. But before I had a business visa, which was 1 year, and that means I can work in the country legally. And then every year I just pay like $150 for it to get renewed from a visa agent. But nowadays it's a little more difficult. I'm on a 3-month visa right now, the business visa, and it's a little more expensive, like a lot more expensive actually. I'm paying like $120 every 3 months to get it renewed. But you don't have to leave the country; you can get it renewed, and that's actually another thing I talk about in the book. Is there's certain countries like Malaysia, for example. Malaysia has a 90-day uh, free. I think it's like a 90-day free tourist visa. I think that's what it's called. And so anyone that goes to Malaysia, they get this automatically. There might be some country exclusions, but you get 90 days in Malaysia, which is more than any other country, I believe, in Asia. And then you have certain countries like Indonesia, which is 30 days, and for the most part, most countries are like 30 days for free. And then what I was doing is I would just go to a country for 30 days, and then I would fly to another country for 30 days. And then you can pretty much do that forever. You don't have to go back to your country or anything, and that's completely legal.
Sure. And in your travels, have you met a lot of other people from the United States, the places you've traveled, or not too many?
I've met a few from the United States, mostly people from like Australia. I guess because Australia is like closer to Asia. Um, but I met quite a few people, and also raw foodists, in particular in Bali and Thailand. I met a lot of fruitarians and raw foodists and vegans, and that was really cool because before living in Washington State, I think I actually met one fruitarian and one raw vegan that I worked with at the health food store. But other than that, it's very rare to find. So it was cool to meet, like, I've probably met like 15, 20 fruitarians since then.
Wow, very cool. Where were you last year during all that COVID stuff?
I was here. I've been here for a year and 2 or 3 months now.
So how was that? I mean, did you weren't working for a while? Were you not allowed out? How was the situation there?
Actually, last year, Vietnam was one of the best places to be because the pandemic was so minimal here. There were only like 100, 200 cases. So the schools were actually still open at the time, and I was teaching. I believe they closed for like a month or two when the cases started to rise, but it never got more than like 300 cases the first year. But now the cases are really starting to go up. We're getting like 200 200 to 300 cases every day, so it's getting a little more serious here.
Wow, is there any pressure with the vaccines out there right now?
I mean, with Vietnam being like a poorer country, they don't really have access to many vaccines. They're getting, I think they got like 1 million coming from China, 1 million from Russia, um, and yeah, only a very small percentage of people have gotten vaccinated. I think maybe like I don't even know the numbers, but they're saying like it's going to be another 2 years before they have enough for everybody. And of course, since it's a communist country, it's going to be compulsory for the majority of people.
Sure. And are they wearing a mask out there a lot now?
Yeah, the mask, that's a law. You have to wear them in public spaces.
Okay. So wow, it went from 300 in a year to 300 in a day.
Yeah, I
Wow.
believe so.
Yeah.
I think it's at like 12,000 cases currently. There's
Wow.
um, just there's in the deaths, it's like a few hundred, but
Wow.
they've been very serious about it here, and I think that's one of the reasons why it's been so successful in compared to other countries. But yeah.
Great. Wow. Wow. So that's great that you're out there thriving and doing okay. And I'm going to put a link below the video so people can get your book. Now it's an ebook. It's not a physical book, correct?
Yeah, so there is a link in my Instagram bio that at robliss95 is my Instagram.
I'll put all
But
that below the video.
okay, great. And if people don't want to go through Amazon, they can also message me and I can send them a PDF copy as well.
Yeah. Speaking of Instagram, man, your channel is awesome. I mean,
Oh,
everybody
thank
check
you.
out his channel. What's your Instagram name?
Robliss95.
Raw Bliss 95. I mean, it's excellent, and it's just keep it up. That's great. And now you do Facebook also?
I don't have Facebook anymore. They keep banning me for some reason.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm glad you're on Instagram and you got a great YouTube channel. I'll put that below the video as well.
Thank you.
And you're doing great. So I want to encourage people that there are people out there still in today's time that are traveling safe and enjoying their life, and you can do it as well. Whatever your goal is. And what is your goal? Tell us what your goal is or what your purpose in life is.
I mean, I really feel like I was sent here to help people. I've had a few near-death experiences in my life, and it just really made me value the life that I have, and I'm so grateful to be here. And I want other people to experience the health, that the energy, the clarity that is possible through proper diet and lifestyle. And it I just want to help people, and yeah, that's it.
What's your current age right now?
I'm 25. I'm gonna be 26 next month.
Okay. And how much do you weigh?
64 kilos, maybe like 140, 135 or something.
How tall are you?
6 foot.
Okay. All right. And how much do you exercise?
Every day. I do a lot of walking. I had a rotator cuff injury, so I'm kind of taking it easy, but I like to do a lot of yoga and calisthenics.
And what's your family say about what you're doing and just the change you've made?
My mom in particular has been like the biggest support in my life, and she actually went vegan I think like a year or two into my when I went raw, and she's been my biggest support. But my other family members, they kind of think I'm out, I'm crazy.
Yeah. Well, they say you are what you eat. You eat nuts, so I guess so.
I'm
Right.
nuts.
Yes. Speaking of nuts, do they sell nuts out there?
Yeah, they actually I think Asia is one of the biggest producers of like cashews.
Okay.
And I haven't been too into nuts. I don't really eat them regularly. Coconut, if you count that as a nut, I eat a lot of coconut meat, which I think is like one of the best foods. It's like so good.
Sure.
But yeah.
Well, man, your channel's awesome. I want everyone to check the links below the video in the description, and definitely follow Austin on Instagram. It's just wonderful, and thank you for taking the time there to be here and talk with us, because it's great what you're doing.
Thank you.
All right,
and make sure to check out my video on my YouTube where I interviewed Paul.
Yeah, yeah, check that out. It's on his YouTube channel, and put any questions you have below if you're all curious, and maybe we could do another episode here and answer those questions, maybe even a live broadcast and answer some questions. If you're interested, just put that below and let us know if you're interested. Austin, thank you so much for joining us, man.
All right, thank you, Paul.
Nature's wealth, good for your health. This is the Raw Life Health Show. Raw Life, brighten up your life.